Welcome to the channel, Paradigm Review Show, PXF. Loren, Lepre. I think I've been saying your name wrong for like 5 years, dude. You need to check me out.
There you go.
I've known this guy for years, but I finally corrected it like way later. So, Mosh Shinobi, aka Gaz, at Mosh Shinobi. Loren's channel is Average Superstar TV. And then go check out the Dark Military Rogue. Today, we are covering the Iron Claw. This is brand new as of last year. It is the latest wrestling film. It is Zac Efron. And unfortunately, it's directed by Sean Durkin. And it did come out 2023. It's a quick IMDb synopsis. The true story of the inseparable Von Erich brothers who made history in the intensely competitive world of professional wrestling in the early 1980s. So we did cover Dark Side of the Ring a couple of the early seasons on this show, and they did have a episode about the Von Erich dynasty on that. Did you watch Dark Side, Loren? I don't know.
I don't. Honestly, I just watch everything somehow when it hits like streaming or YouTube. So usually the next day, before they're all taken down, they're loaded. I have to see the commercials, but I know that the network Vice is in trouble, so I don't know if that's going to get sold. But I'm all about wrestling stories, but I just kind of want to see some more things that are kind of positive. Like after a while, you're kind of like this is. I get the word it's dark, but after a while, like I don't want to hear all like people that you loved are just were so tormented. So I just saw the trailer for 100%. Season 5, and like the only one that jumps out that like got me excited, and then the rest I was kind of like, "What's end this?" Was Harley Race because I'm a Harley. I just want to hear Harley Race beating people up because how fearful he was. People were fearful.
100%. Piggybacking off what Laura just said, almost everyone that I bring up Dark Side of the Ring to has that exact feedback. Like, it's a great show, super informative to give you behind the scenes, but almost every episode you leave feeling destroyed and just like most depressing show ever. But it gives you the real, but at the same time you ain't gonna.
It's the same stuff like any Hollywood actor or rock star after a while, where you kind of like these are the people, the posters you had on your wall, and then as you age, you find out stuff. But at the same time, every one of us had some sort of blood on our hands, whether it was verbally or just how you once were. And that's called transitioning as a human and evolving. So when you say the cancel culture stuff, like every one of us could be wiped out. Knock it off.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
If you watch this kind of thing, do you want someone making that deep dive documentary about your life of the dark side and all the negative aspects? That's the way you got to feel about it, and especially when it's your heroes, like Loren said, or the guys.
100%.
Friggin', real quick before we get into the review, because I think you had a personal relationship with him, Loren. Did he cameo in your Roadhouse project, Screwjack? They did have the Screwjack episode.
New Jack, New Jack was
New Jack, my bad.
New Jack was. We shot that funny. I remember for a reason. It was December 12th or December 8th of 2000, like 12, I think it was. Yeah, 2012. New Jack. He moved around after ECW ended, but he ended up back in Atlantic City area, which is close to me in Philadelphia. And another one of my actors is also a stand-up comedian, Michael Donnell. He was in the first Dark Military as one of the commentators. One of the newscasters. And I heard New Jack showed up to do stand-up comedy. So I was like, get out, really? And then he's like, oh, New Jack's trying to get into acting. So I was kind of one of the names at the time that was really on fire in Philly because I was just doing a lot. I was doing network events, film festivals, and I was pretty much the guy that was in everybody's movie at that particular moment. I'd say no. So New Jack came, and I got him some. He got himself some work, but I put him in my Roadhouse movie spoof, which is the only thing you need to see. You don't need to see whatever that trailer out there now for the new Roadhouse.
Told you it's trash.
You can literally go to YouTube and put in. It's a tribute. It's a tribute movie, like Naked Gun, just like beyond this stupid. It was like, let's get ridiculous for the sake of ridiculous. Where I played Sam Elliott's character, Lloyd Garrett, and we just had it was just a night at a bar of two guys that pretended to be Sam Elliott and Dalton, but they would never like break up a fight with guys. They would only break it up if it was a girl. So New Jack has a cameo in it where we have to throw him out, and we don't exactly do that. So New Jack was great. New Jack, actually, really quick. That was a day of a storm in Philadelphia. It was the Eagles versus the Detroit Lions. They were it was like a foot of snow on the ground. It's like an infamous game. That was going on while we were filming.
Wow.
And half of my cast didn't make it because of that. So we were like, you be this role. You know, we weren't making The Godfather. It was just like, take this, read the best you could. Like, we didn't care. But New Jack, his car broke down close to the venue. And like one of my PAs went, got him. And like, he did a lot, basically. He was committed. Unfortunately for New Jack, he just, you know, he knows because he said it up front. He's been hit in the head so many times that like, if you were to hand him a Sopranos script where they're very word for word, this is what we want you to say. You can't ad lib nothing. He knew he was going underwater with that, so he didn't stay around acting too long. But like, he got in a few things. I'd say mine was the most popular. But for anyone who wants to check that out, it's only like 12 minutes. It's a Saturday night thing on YouTube, and you'll see New Jack.
Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious. Loren is our Roadhouse guy, so we remember when he was promoting that back then. And I just remembered when the Dark Side episode came up. I'm like, oh, holy crap! I was like, New Jack was in Loren's short, so it just it all rekindled me. But without further ado, boys, let's get into this film. So. Most recently, as we said, the Von Erich dynasty, the Iron Claw, and then this one has got Zac Efron in it. I mean, I kind of thought Zac Efron was kind of a tool early on. You guys can give me your impressions. I know he did like a lot of comedy rom-coms, but I'd say one of the better things I want to say he did was the Netflix movie, right? The Ted Bundy thing. I believe that was him, right?
Yes, it was.
And I only watched that because it was James Hetfield's acting debut, Loren, when he played the cop. I don't know if you caught that.
I didn't see it. It's just me. I have a personal thing about anyone who was like a real killer. We shouldn't be glorifying them. So I anything real. Freddie, Jason, bring it on. But like, I don't like that. I don't like seeing people with Charlie Manson shirts. Like, how do you know a family member is you're gonna walk by on the street and
100%.
Like against somebody. So I don't think a lot of horror movie fans think of that stuff. So it's like I don't walk around my nose and hear about that. It's just a personal thing with me, and I don't think I'm never gonna watch like the Dahmer. Like I've heard that series.
I didn't watch that.
I'm just not giving it any. I'm just not giving it any ratings. That's all.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's a legit concern.
I'm 100 with. I'm on the same page as that as well. That's my personal thoughts. And also I think I come across it so much through punk and hardcore and death metal because Manson's been sampled so much. I remember Aborted and one of their early albums did, and it also gets to that point where like, okay, man, this isn't cool. I know there's the horror aspect with death, thrash, sludge, and we've got that even in some hardcore genres as well. But there's got to be a point where it's still, I'm listening for that. There's the escapism side as well. I'm like you. We've got to remember who these people were, what they did, and that's why I'm on the same page there.
Well, coolness.
Yeah, absolutely. My only point wasn't that it was like a Ted Bundy glorification. It was just my first time I actually saw that.
Yeah, James
put on a solid. James, of course, cameo, but Efron actually put on a solid performance. I'm like, oh my god, this guy can act. So when I found out he was playing, apparently my mic is super low, so I'm gonna try to turn that up, guys. But that was the first time I saw the dude actually act. So I was like, okay, maybe he'll be decent. But I'll give it to him. Dude got in shape to play. Which one? I cannot find.
Kevin Von Erich.
There you go.
Kevin, yeah.
He played Kevin. Dude was shredded. I'll give him that. But early initial thoughts. What you guys thought when you first came into the show there. First came into the film there. Initial thoughts on the film, either one of you.
I guess I'll go out first. First off, I thought this was like overdue, and I think this is the new. I've said this to a few people. Like, this is the new Star Wars, this is the new Marvel, this is the new DC. I think rest movies have been just dormanted of a prophet that is now awoken. Everybody loves Dark Side of the Ring. Well, let's tell not just the Dark. Let's tell the Glory. Let's tell Andre the Giant. Let's tell Owen Hart. Let's tell Bruiser Brody. Like all these goldmine movies of amazing stories. And out of the gate, you have a movie that's not an NWA movie, not a WCW movie, not a Vince McMahon WWF in any way. It's a territory in Texas only, standalone. Yeah. And out of the gate, you have a story. if they're no idea what wrestling got, like know what of the family of what happened, you're gonna walk in and you're gonna be looking at like this can't all be happening in a row. Like there's no way what happens to these brothers could be real. And you're like, yes. Actually, mine. So I thought overall it was a good movie. They say you were supposed to go in and looking at it as a film, not a wrestling film. Mm-hmm. So that's why, like offhand, I still say The Wrestler is still to me a better wrestling movie. But I like that's not taking anything away of this in any way. I thought it was well done. As we were back up to Zac, I was like, yeah, you're the douchey guy. You're the douchey guy in all the jock movies. But it also made me think he probably can pull it off. And I thought this was a great action beat for him. Like his character as Kevin, like kind of the softest one, you know, and he definitely beefed himself up for it. That was great. I thought you got to see the love of what I think a Texas family is. You know, it's more hard nosed, but like it's family first. Like no one else matters. Like it's you know that. Yeah. You know that's guys. That's really the backbone of America. Is really what like a strong family compared to you know
those values. Yeah,
people like to go off the rails, like you know a few people here. You know, but really well told. I also understand some things had to be changed because I mean we only got what 90 minutes or something, but
was way longer than 90
great.
Minutes, but
I think I don't know if it's like was too late or it gets nominated next year, but I think it should have been up for something. I don't know exactly where I would nominate something in my head. I have to still kind of think like what it should be up for, but
I would say maybe storing or writing, even though like you said it's a true story or retelling of a true story, but even the way it's told, like it's pretty original script.
Oh gosh, yeah, and there's nothing like it. If I would say right off the gate, because there's always got to be cons, I get it, and I'm surprised Kevin allowed it because he was like right there. But the fact that they scrapped one of the deaths of the other brothers, like they wrote him out like he didn't exist. Or I think it was I don't want to say Mike, but Mike's the one the guy that had the brain. Right? I lost the name that escapes me at the moment, folks. So feel free to yell at me in the comments. Yeah. But anyway, he was I believe he took his own life because his body was never growing up. I guess he had the most pressure. But they wrote him out of the story. So I kind of feel like you're trying to show this beautiful family of the Texas Straw and all that. It's like you scrapped one of them. I mean, I thought that was wrong. And I thought, never mind the guy that played Ric Flair, but the guy that played Bruiser Brody looked like Bruiser Brody, but everyone was so short.
Yeah.
It bothered me. I was just like, everybody looks 5'9". It's just like, I'm like, this is supposed to be wrestlers and all that. But like, and even the Brody, like the guy that play, I'm a big Brody fan, and I heard that Frank in real life could be really nice, but like, they didn't have a moment where he looked mad. Or like maybe he punched a wall for no reason, like what's going on, or like they show his presence. I thought the wrestler that stuck out, the actor, whatever his name was, whoever played Harley Race, I was like, that's Harley Race.
Hell yeah.
It's like tough, mean, old school, and anyone who's not familiar with Harley Race, he was one of the toughest guys ever in wrestling history. He even put fear in Andre the Giant. Okay. Yeah. He even slammed Andre the Giant without asking his permission, and Andre did say like, well, "Why'd you do that?" Like, so, but the guy I'm sure we'll all get this. The guy that played Ric Flair, like you literally could have had thousands of fans going out for that role if they had the masks and all that. Like I knew, and the theater, I'm saying word for word because that's my favorite wrestler of all time. I mean. Christ, I got a horseman tattoo for the love of God, but so like I know all those promos, and I'm like, this guy looks like at that time Ric Flair was real young. This guy was like at the time too old to play Ric Flair. Yeah. That was like 2000 looking Ric Flair, early 2000s. Like so. Yeah. But I mean, my favorite part of that Ric Flair was when he came in the dressing room and says, "Let's go drink" or whatever. Like that was like
my favorite part too.
Yeah, that was I was like, I can see that. But I like the movie straight across. Some other things escape me, but we're in a conversation. They'll come back. So
go ahead, guys.
Yeah, I found, because I already knew a lot of what had happened, being a lifelong wrestling fan, same as Loren. I kind of, in one sense, I knew what was coming, but it still was very gut wrenching, not an easy watch, very depressing. I agree with Loren with regarding the writing out of one of the brothers. I felt there could have been a little more. This is one of my. I don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the movie, but this is one of my negatives on it. They could have shown a little bit more of the in-ring action. They had some notable people in there. Chavo Guerrero was playing the Iron Sheik. Nick Nemeth's younger brother, Ryan, was playing Gino Hernandez. And the cameo of MJF from AEW, well, it was about 2 seconds, if that. So
the only guy important in wrestling today is MJF.
Yeah, certainly going to be, that's for sure. So I would have liked to see a little more ring action. I do want to give a shout out to one of the actors, that's Maura Tierney. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, who played Doris. She was originally in ER many years ago, and I forget the doctor that she played. So it was good to see her get some shine in a big movie like this. Zac, I thought, definitely showed that he could act. So he got some good showcase on his chops, certainly bulked up as well. I thought the pacing was fairly solid. Obviously, not an easy watch, but I thought the acting overall, the writing, as you rightly said, Ross, was really good. For anybody who doesn't know anything about wrestling or know any of these stories, I feel it's a good introduction. It shows you how people come through that adversity, and it was nice as well too, and I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here, but you also see Kevin's sons near the end, who currently, they were wrestling in MLW, recently got picked up by AEW. I'm not sure if they've been put in Ring of Honor now. So that was good to see. But overall, I thought very good movie, very well paced, very well acted. Again, the writing excellent, as I've said. The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke still stands out as a definitive wrestling movie, but maybe this, as due to Dark Side of the Ring, has opened up, if you like, the door for more of these movies. Hopefully some positive stories, not so much of what's going on at the moment. If anyone's a fan of wrestling, you know exactly what I'm referring to. It's all over at the moment. So I hopefully we get some more positive stories, but I also thought the guy who played the dad of the Von Erichs,
do we all know what amazing horror movie he was in the early 80s?
No. Go.
I know the face, and it's on the tip of my tongue, but I cannot pull it.
It's not what I think it is it?
It took him 9 years to grow his hair long.
I know his face, and
then he was scalped. Creep Show 2.
Oh, I haven't seen it for so long. Whoa.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, really?
Now you see how tall and like big he was and intimidating. Yeah. So,
Well,
speaking of right here, though,
he had a good screen presence.
Speaking of that particular part, though, the way you, and I'm surprised, I don't know if Kevin like wanted that, but like I do know for a fact how Carrie ends up at the end. Isn't exactly, he was like back in the woods, like he wasn't in the front. I thought they made the dad. So this is the story you're telling of your family and their legacy. People might not be wrestling fans are going to say the father at the end was like the worst person in the world for how he responds. That didn't happen that way. So I'm surprised Kevin signed off on like the script, because it's like if I saw that, and my dad was awesome. If they said, "Oh, well, we're going to beef him up, make him look really bad for his final credit," like that's the way the audience is going to remember him for like ever. Like there was no arc. Like even in death, he's just like, "Well, why weren't you looking out for?" I was just like, "What?" I got a little uncomfortable in the theater. I was like, "This is how they're going to let Fritz go out like this?" I was like, "No," and I even thought it was, it's like a little corny how Zac picks him up and carry it, like, because I don't think that I thought that was a little morbid, actually. I was just like, but I agree. But and speaking of the guy that played Carrie, he looked like him, but Carrie's 6'3", 6'5". I just kept saying, I was like, that guy's too short to play him. I wonder. Shane Douglas was even saying, I wonder if Zac should have played Carrie.
Yeah.
Jeremy Allen White played Kerry, and then the actor that played Fritz, it was Holt McCallany.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought he had good screen presence. But yes, that scene was quite uncomfortable. And I thought the same. Thought, well, we know that this wasn't the reaction. This isn't what happened. But anybody who, you know, is not a wrestling fan is certainly going to come in, have that memory, and say, like, well, this guy was a really horrible person.
Horrible.
Really
then, like,
horrible
they get in a
father.
fight. I'm like, you get in a fight in the front.
Maybe kills his dad. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, that was a little. I don't know. Maybe Hollywood was just like, well, there's got he just can't die and roll credits. I guess they have to have some sort of arc, maybe.
Conflict,
so let's make. But I just don't. Me, like, you know, the W in my name's for my father. Like, I hope my dad, like, we never had a relationship like that. It was good, but like, I wouldn't want to sign off on something that would make my father look like legacy bad.
I think to go with Loren's point there, it's like it's sure it's based on a true story, whatever we're calling it here, a retelling, but it's still a Hollywood script. Therefore, when they submit that to you and you read the whole thing and you're either Kevin or whoever EP'd or has, you know, creative control, it's like you still have full control to be like, okay, look, this last scene, we're not going out on this. Or
like they could have did it
down. You know?
You could have did something after that, like added something, even make it up a little bit to make it look a little more like, you know, Kevin and his mom are still surviving, and you know, gonna transition.
They just fully committed to like, hey, this is the Von Erich curse, and we're gonna go all the way down with it.
So quick question, Loren. When spoiler warning, folks. So when you see that shot at the end credits scene, you know, it shows you the family. Would you have liked them to actually have shown you the sons of Kevin wrestling now? Just a brief part, say, look, here they are. This is them wrestling in. Say it was even if it was MLW.
When was it shot? Were his kids wrestling there in that company by then? By the time editing was done, did they have footage? Like how long?
They've been in MLW for a while, and now.
All right, well, I didn't know that. I think it would have been cool if there's anything. I had a smile of like, wow, talk about rebuilding the family, because I don't know how many, there was like 15 of them. And the other thing that jumped up was just like the baby 6 feet over his head. What if that's all I kept thinking? What if he didn't catch the kid? Obviously he did, but I just saw a baby in the air. I was like, that's what I saw in the theater.
2001, the Star Child.
That's what I saw. Like everyone in the theater was just like, oh, but I was just like, well, if he doesn't catch the baby, but
that would be.
Well, even because they did the paragraph, you know, wrap up, guys, so they could have, and they did the family photos, so they could have did like, hey, the two sons are carrying on the legacy, so it's not.
Well, they're if they're not the champions yet, they're going to be the champs.
Yeah, they're not at the moment, but they still use the signature move. As I say, I watched him in MLW for quite a while, and then recently Tony Khan's picked them up. They've been on, you know, a couple of episodes, so I just thought it would have been nice just to show you a couple of shots of that. Here they were in MLW, they've been there for the last couple of years, one of the top tags. Now they've got picked up, say, by AEW. Would have been nice.
It's definitely made me think more though of like how amazing Kerry Von Erich was, because he's hiding that he doesn't have the leg, but like guys, he's doing that on wood. Like the technology you have for prosthetic legs today is amazing, but like back then it was like
a cinder block.
Yeah, like how did it not fall off? Like just honestly, how did it not?
Yeah,
like
See, I knew what Darkseid covered. Maybe I didn't know the entire story as well as like you both did, but I was crapping my pants when he came. I was like, dude, he's not going back to the ring after that. And then he's still taking matches. I was like, what? Like, this is crazy. The only thing I'll say about the pacing, guys, is I did feel like maybe towards the end of the second act, because we're talking about 2 hours and 12 minutes now. So I'm kind of like, it could have been streamlined. Like Loren said, I did feel like that ending was kind of dragged out. Like, of course, they're going to wrap up the curse. And then, you know, kind of like Loren said, then it just came to like, well, he said he wanted to get a ranch for the family and let everybody. So like when they tried to bring it back around to positive, like Loren said, it was like at the last 2 minutes and it's like roll credits. And you're like, damn, I still feel pretty depressed from that long ass story of
maybe I'm a little
brothers, you know.
Maybe I'm a little biased with, you know, being much hardcore wrestling fan as well, because that was my criticism with Killers of the Flower Moon. Although it was a good movie, I thought the pacing was a bit too slow. So yeah,
for sure. It just the fact that like Loren said, like a 90-minute movie, I think for this would have been perfect. Of course, you have like 4 or 5 main characters, and as Loren said, the family element, the whole dynasty legacy. But I'd agree with you guys. Like I really like Kevin. I really like Kerry. I really like David Harrison Dickinson, as you guys were saying. I really liked how Kevin was struggling with the mic work, and then David's career took off because he was better on camera, better.
Ric Flair said David was the one of the Von Erich, like the one. He said it should have been David, even though Kerry had the physical, naturally gifted. They said he said recently, like, David was the one that should have been the, you know.
And Kevin had the wrestling experience. It was gut wrenching how he had the stomach problem at the wedding, and he's like, I don't think you should go to Japan. And then they laughed about it like a joke, and I was like, oh man, the way this movie has gone, you know where this part's going to, you know what's gonna happen. It's just and
even like what happened with Mike, when you just see him like fall apart, you know, like it wasn't the same. You're just like, it was just one of those things, like it's sad. But you kind of knew, and the fact that out of the gate they already had a death of a, you know, what was the kid, like 5 or something, you know,
okay. I have to speak on that, not to cut you off, Loren, but when they did the like dream sequence, of all the brothers who have lost the kid there, I was like, I get the point. You know, I'm not an idiot. I totally get the point, but like, this is pouring the dressing on an extremely sad story. Like, what did you think, Loren? Was that the way to depict that?
There was a part of me like I get it. It's Hollywood and it's the afterlife. Like, you want to think they're all together again, but it's technically it's like the little one. They don't really know him. I hate saying it like that. That was like another thing. I was like, all right, but
it's like meeting for the first time. It's like, hey, nice to meet you. No, like the dialogue was a little awkward. I'm gonna keep it real on the pros and cons. Like maybe a better way to
I thought like obviously again, it's kind of like any like Bohemian Rhapsody or any of the music field. Like you can't get everything in there, but like they went right. You know, you have to for time restraints. I knew like. Kerry didn't originally lose his leg completely. Like that he kept that for a while, but eventually it just kept. They couldn't save it and had it go. So I was more like I kind of wish. I don't know if this was a Titan thing or not, but like I wish they had Kerry's era a little bit up there.
Sure.
Yes.
And I wanted to know, like, there was a part where Ric Flair, he said when he was having a series with Kerry for the NWA belt. Yeah. Kerry came to the ring so destroyed that in the middle of the match he's talking to Rick. He's like, that girl in the front row is beautiful. He's like, get your head in the match, and he went out in the first aisle high and started talking to her, and like Rick was mad. He's yelling at the ref, like, get him back in here, get him back in here.
Wow.
It's like, you know, wrestling was more, you know, not out then. Rick was really protective, but he said he talked to Fritz. He's like, you gotta get your kid, like you gotta get him right. I think this might have even been before the leg. You know, so
so that skipped a lot of stuff.
You're never going to get all that in, and you're trying. So that's why I get why the one that didn't get into the flick. I get it. I just think it was a big disrespect to the entire family. Even if you wanted to not have him around, I don't know, like send him off to college and he comes in twice and then like a phone call like this. Somehow they should have got him there.
Incorporate him. I got you.
I just thought the brother, Kevin fighting with his dad and like putting I was like, this is, I don't know. I just think
a little bit in bad taste. I hear what you're getting at. Let me, Fire Pixie, if my level's still low, just let me know. I turned up the mic, so just let me know.
I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Fire Pixie. There was one I just saw something she said in the chat, which I think is awesome. There. So this is the one chick watching 3 guys talk about a wrestling dynasty.
LOL. Yeah, it kind of is Fire Pixie. Sorry about that. You know, we don't. It's PXF here. Loren does extremely morbid hardcore horror on his program, and then me and Gaz just cover Grindhouse over the top ultra.
Average Superstar TV, check it out.
We'll link it up. Give it a sub up here.
And just to say, Fire Pixie, good in the recent stuff with Vince McMahon. There's a whole season in itself for Dark Side of the Ring. It's rumored that Netflix documentary is supposed to drop.
Did you hear the news, Loren? I don't know.
Oh, really? Netflix is supposed to drop something?
Supposed to be. There is a rumor in the works. I don't know this, but they keep saying that there's going to be a documentary.
I have been secretly
I think it is.
rooting for Netflix to like fall since how woke they got and all the descriptions that went. And then I was like, oh my God, they're invincible now. I was like, they got the WWE. I was like, they're invincible.
Yeah, got Raw out, haven't they?
Yeah. No, they have the streaming deal now, but Vince just stepped down again. If that makes any difference to anyone.
Guys, I mean, you say with cancel culture and how soft the world is, and I mean, they're not good allegations. Vince survived all the debts of it. I just think he's Trump. You're not going to beat him.
That's what I think too. Like he'll come in and out.
I bet he's just in the back making secret phone calls and like keep my face off the camera. And Vince even said it himself. His grandmom or his mom might live to be 100. Like he knows he's going to be around another 20 years.
I made a joke, recently going back about say a year or two ago when he first had to step down and Triple H just come in and take over running. I was saying to my friends here, I said, "There's no way that dude isn't involved in running. I don't believe it. He'll be sat in his back cave with a headset on or something. I can't do his voice, so that's why I sound like an 18th century pirate." So. It's
like the mob, where it's like the one mobster that does not talk to his crew. He just talks to the underboss. Like that, I think he just turns into the underboss. Hunter talks to him, and I think Hunter's obviously really running it, but I think he just goes to like, here's what's going on this week.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think?
100%.
You can't take a guy like that who loves to work and on the worst sleep pattern in the world and just stop him. It's just not
Agreed. Yeah. I guess really overall, I thought it was really good. I really liked the wrestling sequences, the aerials. I thought they nailed the moves. The
Freebirds, that was great seeing them. I was always a fan of them. Yeah.
My only kind of like major gripe, I think, was what Loren covered, was just how flat that dude's Flair promo was. And then
it's terrible.
I get it's the Flair belt matches, it's like the apex of the story, but it's like, as Loren said, a larger than life wrestling legend, arguably the greatest wrestler of all time, arguably the highest statured named wrestler of all time. And then you have this dude, they have Efron and they have McElhaney, so the budget was there. Clearly, you could see from the camera quality, the film quality, the sound editing, the budget was there. So I just don't quite get why Flair was skimped on.
I honestly, what they should have done, and this would have made wrestling fans crazy, love it. They should have got a current AEW or WWE guy that grew up watching Flair, knew how to do the promos, put the wig on him, and who's been around him and just knows.
I feel like that's what you were saying, Gaz.
Yeah, that's exactly they should have did. They should have got.
And that's kind of what we were all expecting. So when they put the camera on him for his promo, I was like, I got it was Flair from the wig, but I was at the same time I was like, who's this guy? He's wearing the Flair outfit, but
you see Flair and you're immediately deflated. But when I saw the guy play Harley Race, I was excited, and I actually felt like the super fight of like, that's Harley Race. And what did Harley Race do? He challenged him. He hurt him for real. He's like, you're a Von Erich. You're the next guy. Let's see how tough you are. Suplexes him for real on
the cement.
On concrete. Yep.
That was sick.
That's like veteran. Welcome to the team, boy. Like
hell yeah.
Let's see what Fritz's son could take.
No, Fire Pixie, it's super depressing, but it's an awesome movie. If you like Flair, it's not the best Flair depiction, but Flair's also not really a main character. He kind of has 2 cameos, maybe 3 scenes on screen. Definitely when he comes in after the celebration, he was like, "Hey, you did great out there. Let's get the beer." And Kevin's like, "Oh no, I don't feel like drinking." Like that whole back and forth was, I thought a well acted scene. I don't know, boys. That's basically all my pros and cons. I could pretty much go to ratings if you guys are ready.
I do want to ask you both a quick question before that. As we were saying, this may be set up other wrestling movies of a similar nature. So with that said, 2 of the very famous brothers from wrestling and MMA. Loren won't be surprised when I mention these. Do you think we might get a movie about the Shamrock brothers?
I would love it because I trained a seminar with Frank Shamrock, so that was like one of the most proudest moments ever of my life. I also realized,
love Frank,
for him when he locked up with me to show guiding and showing the moves. I was like his B guy, like I'd never felt so Nothing. Like this guy, like he just tossed me like a rag doll. Or anything he needs to do, I was like, this is how far behind I am. Yeah, but I'm a big fan out of the gate, kind of like a long time ago. I don't know what happened, but The Rock got the right to do a Mark Kerr movie. Like I think that early UFC before it turned into like when they didn't know how the refs were bad. Like they didn't know, like some guys are tapping and the refs like, are you giving up? Like I like the chaos in that early one.
Yeah, Royce Gracie fighting 30 guys.
Yeah, and Dan Severn in there as well.
And even there was no like it was Styles. I think that it was also like there was no weight class. It was just like you win. Yep. Yeah, the next guy's 300 pounds. You know, they go luck. Yeah, I think that would be cool. Like you could totally do a British Bulldog movie. You could do the whole Hearts. You could do the Hart Family Dungeon. Yep. And that's endless. Yeah. You can make a series. You'd have to make a series with how many people could there.
I would love to see that.
You could do a whole series alone on like the the Monday Night Wars. You could, you could do the entire XPW, ECW. I mean, you could go through the beginning of TNA. You could go endless. And Andre the Giant, I think you could do even with the effects you have today. Like for making people big in the Lord of the Rings, you could do that. Do a character now, like it's someone big and put effects and make them bigger. You know, but
I love Andre. It's just the casting is the only hurdle. But Lauren, you know, he said there's ways around.
Yeah, definitely.
I do. So I don't know if you have more guys. Of course, I love Piper. Of course, I love Sting. This Hogan. I know we're going to be boycotting Netflix, Lauren, but this Hogan movie with the Chris Hemsworth. Man, they talked about it like 5 years ago, and they said they couldn't do it because they couldn't fill the arenas because of COVID. Have you guys heard any update about that? It's been a while.
That honestly stuns the crap out of me when you say that, because I don't know how they don't frame up an arena. First off, you get stock footage of an old event, and then green screen that like shoot one direction, and you could green screen your crowd.
They're acting like they can't figure it out. I'm like, you've had 60 years of Hollywood filmmaking. It's not a surprise.
That's
watching movies.
That's freaking weird. Maybe they need a certain amount of budget to make it look solid. Maybe that's what it is. But
that's the excuse they gave back then. I know he was talking about it, and he was lifting, getting big. Hogan was saying Chris looked good for it, and then that was the last thing I ever.
I would love a series of in the 80s of Rowdy Piper and Ric Flair being out together, all the trouble they were, because they were getting arrested left and right. They were like
the tag team. Fucking when Flair was mentoring him, oh my God, that would
They said the partying that they did and the trouble they would do stuff in front of the cops and get arrested, and be giggling going in the car like.
Dude, those guys are my gosh, and then of course Piper's I think Ariel Piper, I think she's in AEW now, guys.
Yes,
she wrestles, so shout out to her. I'm sure she could EP that or the same type of thing Kevin did for Iron Claw. But I don't know. Did you have any other ones that you wanted to see, guys?
No, but I personally would, like, as we've been saying, would love to see a Shamrocks movie just because of what they've done both in wrestling and in MMA. It was Ken who appeared on Mike Tyson's podcast, and it was one of the most interesting interviews I'd ever heard. He was talking about when he first went over to Japan, and he was training with some guys, and then I forget the guy's name, was a well-known famous Japanese wrestler, and his introduction, he pretty much like woke up a minute later, and this Japanese dude was stood smiling over him, like, welcome to the dojo. The train out there is insane.
Is it the dude that Flair fought out there? Yeah, I'm sure you know his name, Lauren. He's that. Oh gosh, why am I blanking on that too? It's the famous Japanese wrestler, right? He was like the guy.
Flair won. Yeah, I think that was Super Brawl. I think
North Korea
lost and then won the next pay-per-view.
I believe so. Yeah,
North
Korea event.
I believe also that was a couple years earlier. Flair went over, and they know Flair's not like a physical guy, like and they were scared they were gonna hurt him and take the belt, so the company would look amazing, like physically hurt him. Yeah. So they flew Harley Race with Flair just to protect him.
For a bodyguard.
Yeah, just as a bodyguard. And if I was like, why are they sending you? He's just like, oh, I'm here to make sure you come home with the belt.
Yeah.
Like, it's Harley Race. Like, you're just not going to do that with him there.
I think just to reiterate your point, Loren, there's so much they could do. It's endless. The Monday Night Wars would be an interesting one because
that's seasons. That's seasons, the Monday Night War. Like, you could literally do the first season where Nitro takes over and puts like it's all one-sided. Like, they take over, they're on top, and then season 2 starts. How's Vince going to turn and try to take it back? And then by the end of season 2, you could be even.
Yeah.
And then season 3, you could have when Vince takes over and takes the title back.
And it would be particularly relevant because before everybody starts hating on me, said, "Oh, you're anti-AEW." No, I'm not. No, I'm not actually. I watch it all: New Japan, AEW, even WWE, which I'm not a real great fan of anymore, but I watch them all, and the Indies as well. But there's a parallel that is being referenced a lot now. That current AEW is like 2000 WCW, with sadly the way it's going. Hopefully it doesn't go down that direction, but it doesn't look good. But I just remember from the Monday Night Wars, could you imagine, man, seeing that on film and how this wouldn't fly today if you've got, Bischoff there who was reading out the results?
Dude, that's hilarious.
I think it'd be great, like Raven getting up and walking out, and like you could go on and on, and that stuff. You could do one to me like alone on Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon on primetime. You could just do a movie on that where they came up with their sound bites, and at the end, Bobby gets kicked out by Gorilla, and Bobby felt disrespected by that. By the way, he always said he goes, that's how they let me go, like but there's endless, and then you got other territories where there was probably you could have did the whole thing where Vern Gagne tried to have Iron Sheik break Hogan's leg. You could have just showed that deal, like
the territory, especially like the Puerto Rico stuff, with like Bruiser Brody and like the crazy, just Dark Side covered a lot of that. And when Loren said the Hart family, I was of course thinking of Bret Hart's like storyline when he like spit in Vince's face on camera, and then before he went to WCW,
really made up. I understand that was the Beyond storyline. I don't care if you put Bruce Pritchard and The Undertaker come in and tell me what they saw.
Was it, the Montreal screw job? Right?
Vince should not have been at ringside. There's no reason for him to be there.
Yeah,
he was the commentator. Like, it was setting up the heel. Like, this is the best way to make you look good. I screwed you over. I'll be the next heel. We didn't see the punch, and there's a camera.
The uppercut.
That would have been the first thing they would have got rid of. Get rid of the cameras.
So even on we went off on a tangent. Sorry guys, but we're gonna cover this just because. So on Dark Side, Brett doubles down and he says like he's like, I'm gonna take my shower if you're not out of my locker room by the time I leave. I'm gonna crack you. He says he uppercutted him off his feet, but they have Vince walking out and he looks a little flustered. But if you got uppercutted and knocked out, you would look worse than that, right? Like,
totally. He hit him on an uppercut, so why would he come out with like a shiner? Like an uppercut. Last I checked, comes under here. So
he said off his feet, uppercut hit the chin, and off of his feet to his back.
To me, here's what I got to tell you guys: no one saw Nails attack Vince McMahon because you can't. He controls the locker room. You got to see what that was the first thing I'd have been afraid. If I saw I'm that company and I'm about to do something bad, the first thing I would say is get that camera crew out of here.
Yeah.
All cameras are off. Like, I know I'm about to do something really bad.
Right.
Yep.
The only time
the
you've seen
industry, which is based on camera, both
in
ring
and why did Owen say?
And behind the scenes. Yeah.
Why did Owen say?
And the most memorable scene of Vince being attacked in part of the story was that famous one with Stone Cold assaulting Vince McMahon when he's in the hospital bed. Yeah. Absolutely hilarious. We've had a question from Fire Pixie. I did look this up, and I don't think he has to my knowledge. And she asked, have they ever put Chris Benoit back in the Hall of Fame? I know what he did was horrific.
That's not a question. I don't want to talk about the Benoit.
No. As far as I know, no.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, no comment on that.
He was never nominated, right? I mean, he couldn't.
Not that I know of, and I looked it up, and it says no, he wasn't.
Kind of thing. And then real quick, too, I did finish the last season of Dark Side recently, Loren, and they did the whole Rockers origin of.
You know what's the only one that for some odd reason I couldn't find on YouTube the
it
next
was
day.
sick, dude. I didn't know anything about them. I loved the episode. I mean, it wasn't quite as negative as other Dark Side episodes, which are very, very dark. They did cover that they,
I was just happy like he was alive. Like, because everyone they're going is usually like family, like they're deceased. Marty's still with us, so that I am. If anyone's got a link, send it over, please. I'll
get you something. And I would cool too. At the end, it wasn't like they just hated each other for life like every other Dark Side.
I would like to see Ross, as Loren said, and that's the only problem with why I'm a bit take it or leave it with Dark Side of the Ring. I would like to see something looking at more the history of what happened with the territories, how these wrestling leagues and organizations were founded, then what has since happened with them and where the current state of wrestling is. And it's showing you out the wrestling and documenting the different styles as well, Japanese strong style, everything. I would love to see something like that. That I would totally nerd for that.
It was definitely cool because the main topic we're talking about, the Iron Claw. I mean, you saw when people were trying to buy the company, members like Fritz, like, I ain't selling that. Like, this is Texas and all that. Like, you see a little bit of the water shaking and all that. And then he did give it to Kevin, and Kevin did sell it then, So, like, and whoever sold it out, whoever got it sold to, obviously they ain't around no more. So it wasn't the hardest. It's also one of those things I've always said when they say Vince came in and raided, which he did. Yeah. But how did every territory fall though? I just find that like weird. Like you have all these loyal fans. Like, well, I'd rather sit home and just watch Superstars and channel. Like, you clearly didn't know how to like.
Well,
get up.
I do know one. I'm sure you probably both know his name. I think you definitely do, guys. That one Dark Side episode of the cokehead guy. I think was he California. He wanted to work with Vince, and was he
the one who did that famous event on the beach?
That owner was
from UWF, right?
Yeah.
I could see why he went down because that guy was a cokehead maniac. But everybody else
just a bit.
That guy.
That's where I first saw Dr. Death Steve Williams was UWF. That was the first time I ever saw him perform.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane. One quick question before we do get in the ratings as well. Another positive, I thought they actually matched the soundtrack quite nice for this film as well.
Yeah.
You both think?
Yeah, sound was great. Yeah. I like sound editing overall. I mean, music, score of course, but I like the whole sound editing. I don't like. Quick question: does anybody know what else Sean Durkin did? I just want to take a look real quick.
Let's have a quick look.
Very familiar with his work. So Iron Claw. And I have not heard of any of these other films that he's only made 7. He's only made 7 films, but semi-impressive directing, I would say, Loren, for a drama.
Great.
Well, I thought the best way I could say they were presented. They were all sweethearts, like really across the board. Like they were like the whole family was with. Obviously, Fritz being the leader of like I'm dad, I'm calling the shot. And I have a thing about like. The way kids get run over today by their kids, like I like direct parents. That's my dad had. Like he told me, this is what's happening. What do you want to do? No, this is what's happening, and I can go away crying, but like I did it because it's dad.
I'm a New Englander, bro. Me and you are both East Coast guys, so
yeah.
In a similar fashion.
Northeast UK, the same.
And I even like the part in the ring, whether this really happened or not. But when David took the mic from Kevin and like had the better, and then Fritz right in the ring said like David's gonna get the shot, and he turns turns to all of them. Is there a problem over here? I was just like, that's not playing around. Like all of them, they were like dogs. They were like the dogs that got caught in the room. Like he over yells at them, their ears go
shredding
down.
the newspaper.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? One criticism about the filming when it first showed the in-ring action sequence and Fritz was watching from behind the curtain and it gave you that like behind the curtain perspective. I'm like, okay, that's cool because it's showing you Fritz's perspective. But then they reused that like multiple other times when it wasn't actually his perspective. It was just a far away ring shot. And also at night, I think it was Kevin and Kerry when they were in the backyard ring in the night shot. Dude, it was so dark you could not see what was going on. I get it's a night scene, but I was like, you got to brighten that up a little bit. You can't even see what they're doing. It's just two shadows clotheslining each other.
Each other in the face, right?
Yeah, they got in the fight. But it was like such a dark scene. Like in some of the modern movies, they just have these dark night scenes. Like, okay, it's not hard to figure out it's a night scene, but also you can't really see what's happening on screen.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like that's me over nitpicking.
I don't know who the actress was who played Kevin Von Erich's wife. I liked her. I liked her delivery. I liked right out of the gate when like he thought she wanted an autograph, and she's just like, no, I want to go out with you. And then, this is the part where you say this, like she's guiding him. I was like,
yeah.
That really happened, but I liked her delivery. I liked her.
That was cool.
Yeah,
he was just
Lily
like
James, I think it was.
Autographs.
Was the actor. Lily James was the actor. I thought she was good, and that was quite funny, that scene when I think she said, well, haven't you ever, it's nobody ever taught you how to ask questions?
Yeah, your parents didn't teach you how to respond.
I like whether that's true or for drama effect, but you always wondered, like, was he just sheltered as the family? You're because they had a farm to run. I don't think you could just go out and do the normal stuff.
Right. And his whole life was wrestling, like they established that early on.
And the farm, because that's what's paying the bills for real. So
Yep, absolutely.
You know what? Sorry, go on, Ross. No, I cut you off there, man. I'll make the point in a moment.
I'm just gonna go into ratings, bro. So do what you got to do.
It made me think of, sadly, a recent tragedy. Two guys that they wrestled in Ring of Honor, then they did get picked up by AEW. Yeah, Loren knows who I'm talking about. The Briscoes. It made me think of Jay when I watched this movie as well, because they're very close. Mark, Jay, very close on the unit. I mean, they were a tag team pretty much like forever. And we've had the Fiend and a lot of other people sadly pass. But it did make me think of that, and I thought, man, so. Yeah, excellent film, but obviously very sad.
When you say the Briscoes, I've never said a word to them. I've been on several shows with them years ago where, besides a quick hello, like I never really had time to chat with them, but locally, because they were out of Delaware, I'm in Philly, that's very close by, that sent a shockwave through everybody. Like when that happened, I felt it, like I felt the sorrow of everybody that was feeling that, because that hurt. But they were very family orientated, and I could say back when they wore like the wrestling tights and had shaved heads and then had no characters, I was on the show. It's either CZW or JCW, which I don't remember, but the first time they ever wrestled each other. Well, maybe it was Ring of Honor. Back when the first Feinstein had, but I was there for that. But it's what I'm saying. But like I got to see that, so I knew. I was just like, wow. Like it also showed like the bar of like where I'm at with Garrett Dominant stuff. Like, wow, look at these guys go. Of course, they were doing like 85 finishing moves in a row, and the 86th one. Why'd you get pinned from that one? But the point is, like, yeah, they were definitely treasure around here, and that's it's months later. But that just sucks. What happened? It does. It's out of the gate. That just sucks hard.
For sure. Any final thoughts, boys? Or you want to get into these ratings?
Oh, I think we'll get into the ratings.
Cool. So it has a 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb with only 15,000 ratings, which is surprising. I would expect more. Dude, I got to tell you guys, I went, I think, on the last night. They had it in my local theater. And I was like, telling my brother, I'm like, dude, it's the Iron Claw, man. It's Zac Efron. How many people are going to be there? Packed. Almost no empty seats in the building. I think that was the last night. So I was like, damn. So it still had an impact up until the end of its run. I gave it a 7 out of 10. We've said all our pros and cons, guys. It's the biography, drama, sport genre. Really, my only gripe was just kind of that third act decline, like Loren was saying. Everything else I thought was pretty top notch, So,
pretty much the same. A solid 7. Very, very good movie. Acting was really good. The score, the sound I thought was good as well. Aside from those few criticisms that we said, obviously not an easy watch. So I would just say to be prepared for that. It's not the most comfortable movie to sit through, but it does show you the positive that can come from that adversity. I would have liked to have seen, as I said, a few clips of the sons of Kevin showing you where they are wrestling now, and that's it. But overall, a solid 7.
Coolness. I'll go a little bit higher, not much. I'm going to go with an 8. So everybody knows how I would rate movies. I hardly ever give 10s. That's a rarity. But what turns me on, and I'm the horror movie guy here, I love movies about real life. This is about human emotion, about storytelling like this. So I thought this was strong. This is why I'm going to go with an 8. I'm a guy that likes a movie like Magnolia and American Honey. Okay, so this is just like right up there with that sort of thing. And again, the gripes I have, which shaves it back, is the ridiculous overkill ending with the dad. Like I'm very big on acting, how well the freaking movie is lit with the audio, but like the story matters. I think it's the most lacking thing in all movies these days of beyond overkill. So since this has some errors here, I got to dial it back, and also points off again for Bruiser Brody being like 5'8", 5 foot. Now, I just look at, if you have the budget, you have actually wrestlers would have did that for free.
Yeah.
Taking that role.
Yeah, they would have.
You could have found a guy was 6'6". I think Bruiser Brody was 6'6". I understand Kerry Von Erich, like that's a little different. Like to find a guy that size that can act. So that is a complete pass to me, but I just think the other wrestlers, and including the guy who played Ric Flair, like you had a whole point off for that. You're at a 9 just like that because of Ric Flair.
Yeah, I would just piggybacking off Loren. I would just say the concern, the risk you take by having all those cameos is not having somebody else play it and not nail them. So you don't need every legend. Kind of got to focus it a little bit more. Like, hey, maybe we'll have 2 or 3 of the upper echelon cameos, but anything beyond that, and you're kind of just subbing in a 5'5" guy for a guy who is 6'6" in real life, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work, but again, back in the day, that this is the time where it's land of the giants and all that. So if you're trying to make the Von Erichs look like they're climbing a mountain, when you're next to Bruiser Brody, they should have had them like kind of looking up, talking. Like you should have done that.
To emphasize that.
Being stuck in their shadow.
Yeah. Like you want to make them like Rudy, in the locker room, like looking up at like we got to make it here. We got a family name.
Yeah.
So.
I agree. Yeah, but overall, definitely sick film. Definitely recommend that you guys see it if you like wrestling. Or and just to piggyback off Lauren's other point too, if you want to see a film that's not a CGI, just computer-generated blotches thrown at the screen, which are 90% of Hollywood films now, it is an actual real film with real actors.
Yep.
So for the most part, you get realism. Maybe a couple quirks here and there, but overall, it's just real physical combat. It was nice to just see a physically shot movie that's not a fucking CGI mess.
This is, as we're said, this is a movie. If you're not into sports, especially if you hate wrestling, like it's okay to watch this film. You will get sucked in. It's the story. You're not watching wrestling match after. If that's
it's a good autobiography or
yes, it is.
autobiographical family film. I don't even know if that's the right word for a family, but you guys know what I mean. Biography film. I think that's it for we got our guys here. Loren Lepre, check him out at Average Superstar TV, the Dark Military Rogue. Gaz Moss Shinobi, go check out the American Ninja retrospectives he's been doing on his channel. Of course, keep it locked at PXF. Bunch of new crap coming out soon. I think that's it, gents. If you guys are good to go, go ahead.
Just quick shout about one of the next reviews coming. One more shot with Scott Adkins. So definitely keep a watch for that, folks. And shout out Fire Pixie. Thanks for watching.
For sure. All right, guys. I'm just gonna do an outro. I'll drop you guys in the room. You can stick around if you want to chat. I know you have things to do, Loren. So give me 2 minutes to do our wrap, and I will be with you boys shortly. So that's it, guys. Zodiac Files episode 4 coming soon. I'm going to have the next interview series. I think it's volume 10 with Mike Rodelli, author of In the Shadow of Mount Diablo. The memberships are live below. You can click join there. Basically, like, sub, share is the usual. As Gaz said, we'll have the One More Shot review coming soon, and the reviews will be frequent. Shout out to Fire Pixie. Appreciate you coming through. Didn't know you knew wrestling like that, and everybody else who watched. Feel free to like, sub, and share. And we'll have more reviews coming soon, more updates on Loren's stuff. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Subscribe.